Antonio Brown's NFL career actually, for once, seems like it's over. Now, I don't know if he came to the realization that no NFL team was going to want to put up with his stuff after his debacle in Tampa Bay and New England and with the Raiders and, of course, Pittsburgh. Now, it's come to my attention, and it seems like Antonio Brown has moved on with football, quite possibly, because he is the new proud president of Donda Sports. It seems like some sort of sports organization started by Kanye West, and we know that they've been around each other quite a bit lately. But the main thing I want to talk about, and I've given myself a couple days since the news break to really think about this and how this situation should go down, is that Antonio Brown wants to retire a Pittsburgh Steeler. He made it clear he doesn't want to play any games. He wants to sign a one-day contract and retire with a team that gave him that first chance. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can think about it. The first one is heck no with all of the problems that he caused this organization. I totally understand that, and that was my first instinct. And then the other way that you can think about it is that what does it even matter? Let's end the bad blood. Let's let things go down peacefully and just give him what he wants, because at the end of the day, he was one of the greatest Steeler players that I've ever seen play. As a matter of fact, at bare minimum, he was a top 3 wide receiver I've ever got to watch play the game of football. And as big of a pill as that might be for some people to swallow, I think you have to respect Antonio Brown, the player, for what it was, because he did put in the hard work, and he was one of the best whenever he was on the field. Looking back on it a few years ago, whenever he and Big Ben were in their prime, it was awesome to start an argument saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers have the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the NFL. And very few people could argue that, I might add. He's put up stats that has beaten out almost every single Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver, maybe besides Hines Ward, because obviously Antonio Brown's stint was dropped short a little bit earlier. But I was going back, looking at all the best wide receivers in Steelers history: John Stallworth, Lynn Swann, Hines Ward, Louis Lips, Antonio Brown. And I hate to say it, and I don't want to be too biased because I never got to see some of those older players play. Antonio Brown seems by far superior than any of those guys. So if you're making an all-time list of Steeler players, this man should be your number 1 wide receiver, right? And it's easy to think about the madness that happened whenever he left in, what was it, 2018 or 2019? But to look back at all the great memories that we as Steelers fans have had with Antonio Brown, I mean, there was some good stuff. There was definitely some good stuff. I always look back to the 2015 season. Antonio Brown would have had 2,000 receiving yards that year hadn't Big Ben got hurt for 4 games. So obviously, as a player, he's really good. I don't really think anybody's arguing that too much. My big issue with Antonio Brown retiring a Pittsburgh Steeler, and you'll see kind of where I'm leaning here, is that he's just so unpredictable with his actions, right? He has fooled me so many times. He fooled me with Pittsburgh. I thought they were going to be able to figure it out. And then he fooled the Raiders. After that, it was New England. He was only there for, 3 weeks? And then last but not least, with Tampa Bay, we all know the temper tantrum that he had. He did end up winning a Super Bowl with them, so that worked out. My point is that he's just too unpredictable, at least right now. If I was Art Rooney or somebody at the head of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, I would tell Antonio Brown this: you need to go a couple years without any sort of bad controversy happening. And it should be a little bit easier now that the spotlight's a little bit more off of you. You're not in the NFL. Because you got to think about it from the organization standpoint. They got away from Antonio Brown, and that burden was put on other teams. In my eyes, if he re-signs for a one-day contract and retires a Pittsburgh Steeler, and there's a news headline about Antonio Brown doing something stupid, it now for sure goes back to former Pittsburgh Steeler Antonio Brown does this. And then that drama is brought back to the organization. And we got a really young team right now, and we don't need any sort of distractions like that whatsoever. I feel like if AB can go a year or two without any sort of problems, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, even Mike Tomlin said it himself, even in the height of Antonio Brown's struggles, he said, once a Steeler, always a Steeler. And that was directly intended for AB. So I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. As a Steeler fan, I know a lot of people are just completely done with him, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I see one of the best wide receivers of all time who played in his prime with his team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that drafted him. And during his time here, there wasn't any DB that can cover him except for one. That person was me. And being able to meet Antonio Brown on multiple occasions has given me on what I thought was a real look on who Antonio Brown really is. The first time that we met was for that clip that you seen. We got to shoot a video with him. It was down in Miami. It was for him being the cover vote for the new Madden football game at the time. And I tell you what, I wouldn't just say this if I didn't mean it, especially for Antonio Brown. This man was so passionate for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I can't explain how proud that he was whenever I got to talk to him that he was a Pittsburgh Steeler. I know a lot of people aren't going to believe me whenever I say this, and like, let me just tell you, I've had the opportunity, I've been blessed to be able to meet a ton of different NFL players. He was by far, in a way, one of the nicest people that I've ever got to meet. Now, where things went wrong, I don't really know, but I can only speak from my personal experience. And that alone is why I feel like eventually, at the bare minimum, he probably should get that opportunity to retire with Pittsburgh. But it's always been something that's been on my mind, and it's hard to back him up with a lot of the stuff that happened, so I don't want to completely do that. That's why I feel like giving him time to prove that he won't be in the news for anything negative and won't put a bad light on the Pittsburgh Steelers would work out well. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about it. It's a weird situation. I can't ever remember a time where players wanted to come back to an organization just to retire and that organization said no. I can't imagine a player or a scenario where that would actually happen, but I could be wrong. Let me know. I think that's about it for me. If you're a Steeler fan, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like for me. More Steelers content's going to be coming. And if you're a fan of any other team, we post weekly content over on this channel. It would be amazing for you guys to hit that subscribe button as well. As always, hope you have an amazing day, and only time will tell what happens with Antonio Brown. Is he going to retire Steeler or is he not?